Hey guys, welcome back. Today I want to share with you my favorite top tinted sunscreens. I've got products of various price points for various different skin tones, different amount of coverage, as well as different skin types. So this is one video you don't want to miss. Hi, my name is Dr. Jenny Liu. I'm a board certified dermatologist and welcome back to my YouTube channel. On this channel here, I love to talk about all things skincare, hair care, nail care, motherhood, pregnancy related content. So tinted sunscreen is really popular these days. And although I've shared a few videos on some of my favorite mineral sunscreens, as well as some of the sunscreens I really enjoyed using for the summertime, I feel like I really never took a deeper dive into my favorite tinted sunscreens. So let's talk about tinted sunscreens first and foremost, why we're seeing so much of those, why you may want to use a tinted sunscreen. First and foremost, tinted sunscreen essentially is just regular sunscreen with tint, and the tint is made of iron oxide, which is really the tint that is found in a lot of our cosmetics, for example, foundations and tinted moisturizers and concealers. The reason why tinted sunscreens are really encouraged by dermatologists these days is that number one, tinted sunscreen can be very helpful if you're battling and trying to improve hyperpigmentation. We know that the sun is the biggest driver and really the biggest enemy when fighting hyperpigmentation. In addition to ultraviolet radiation, visible light. So visible light from the sun, not visible light from, say, the blue light from your phone or from your computer or your TV, but really from the sun that can seem to really upregulate pigment production, especially in individuals who are what we call Fitzpatrick, Fitz type 4 and darker. So individuals who are skin of color, not so much when you have fair and you're Caucasian. So that is one reason to really wear tinted sunscreen, is because the only thing that we have, at least in the US here, of the filters available that will block visible light is iron oxide, which is what gives makeup and tinted sunscreen that tint. Two, there is some preliminary evidence that visible light could contribute to skin aging. Obviously, the data is preliminary, and if anything, we know that UVA and UVB are the biggest contributors, but certainly we know from studies that, pollution, visible light, just the whole exposome, we call it, the external factors will lead to skin aging. And thirdly, for a lot of individuals who are of skin color, it may be really challenging to find sunscreen that are non-tinted, especially mineral sunscreens, to not leave a white cast. And so this is where tinted sunscreens, and some brands will actually offer a range of shades of tint. The tinted sunscreens can be more ideal and can be more of a cosmetic elegance when applied to darker skin tones. So again, tinted sunscreen for certain individuals can serve as really your makeup and coverage, and depending on the product that you use, and I will share a few that can actually, I find, to have pretty decent coverage. It can literally be your one-stop shop to serve as your sunscreen and makeup. Now, a lot of people may be thinking, well, can I just use my makeup, the sunscreen in my makeup, to serve as a sunscreen? Usually, I say no. The reasons why, number one, if you actually look at the sunscreen filters in makeup, like truly just foundations that kind of advertise with SPF protection, the filters are often very limited, so you are not going to get as adequate amount of coverage, for one. And two, most people don't apply the adequate amount of makeup to get that protection. So what I mean by that is, you probably have heard that you need about a half a teaspoon to a full teaspoon of sunscreen for your face to get that SPF protection. And that's a lot of foundation. So in general, I say additional SPF beyond your sunscreen is always nice, but don't rely on the sunscreen in your makeup as your sun protection. Okay, now let's actually jump into the products in no particular order, but I am going to start off with more drugstore brands that are more affordable. The first one I want to mention is the one from Verse, Guards Up Daily Mineral SPF. So this is SPF 35 pure mineral filters, zinc and titanium with a light tint. I really like this one because number one, it's affordable. It is about $25 for 50 ml, which I think it's a fairly reasonable price. Certainly it's not the cheapest, but it's reasonable reasonably priced in the world of sunscreens. And it has a really nice lightweight texture that when it's absorbed is not sticky, really with a light finish. So I think this is a great one if you have oily skin, combination skin, and you're looking for something that is not going to leave you a very heavy tint. For those individuals who don't really like their skin looking really, tinted, this is a great one that you're going to get benefits of protection against visible light, yet without leaving too much color on your skin, if you will. Next one is from Cerave, slightly more affordable, but Cerave's Hydrating Mineral Tinted Sunscreen. $14 roughly for 50 ml. So I think probably in all the sunscreens that I'm going to mention today, this is going to be the most affordable one. I really like this one. It has one tint just like the Verse, but for the most part, I've even tested this out on my darker skin patients, and there is an initial slightly ashiness to it, but once it's rubbed in and absorbed, I find that for the most part, it looks fairly nice and elegant and does not really leave an ashy or white cast. What I love about this one is purely mineral based, and it's got a nice tint, but not super heavy. It's hydrating with ceramides and I believe hyaluronic acid. Because it's more of a hydrating sunscreen, this is better suited for those with more dry skin or say used in the winter time. Although I've had patients and colleagues with more combination on oily skin who love this just as much. So it's one of those things where I think you just have to test it out because again, sunscreen is very personal, but I can see this sitting nicely on all different skin types. I think the only thing I wish this sunscreen had is water resistance. I find myself not using the Cerave sunscreen really in the summertime because it's not water resistant. Otherwise, this probably would be one that I personally would use all year round. So the next sunscreen is from Avène, their Mineral Compact SPF. High SPF, I believe is SPF 50, that retails for $38. And this is a great one. It's purely mineral sunscreen, so great for those with sensitive skin. It is great because it's a compact, you can easily carry that with you, and it's great for reapplication. And honestly, for me, that was probably how I used it the most, was reapplying my sunscreen throughout the day. And I find the tint to be fairly medium coverage. So for those individuals who are looking for slightly more coverage in their tinted sunscreen, almost like a foundation or makeup, this is one I highly recommend for you to try out. It also has this really nice cream to matte finish that I think is very elegant. The only thing I wish this sunscreen had was more shades available. Unfortunately, it only comes in 2 shades. One is beige and one is honey. For me, I find that sometimes even the beige is slightly darker at times for my skin tone. Otherwise, I really love it. I love the finish. I think the coverage is great, and it's great for reapplication aside from just being used as a regular sunscreen. The next sunscreen is from EltaMD, and I have to say EltaMD probably is the first brand that came out with really elegant mineral-based sunscreens, including tinted sunscreens. And this one is one that is loved by many dermatologists, which is probably why you hear us mention over and over again. It's the EltaMD UV Clear Tinted. That's SPF 46. It retails for about $41 for 48 grams. And this one I like the most because it's oil-free, it's lightweight, fast-absorbing. They all have one shade, but I find for the most part it's fairly universally flattering. This is a hybrid sunscreen, so it's got zinc oxide, but also one chemical filter. And I think because of that, it's not as heavy and thick, especially the zinc particles are nanoparticles. But it's very elegant, and it's great for those with combination oily skin. Also contains niacinamide, so it can be helpful anti-aging, pigmentation, as well as sebum control. Again, I think the only thing that I personally wish was that this was water resistant. If you like EltaMD sunscreens and you want a tinted sunscreen that is water resistant, then I think you should check out EltaMD UV Elements SPF 44. This retails for about $38 for 57 grams. So this is a more hydrating sunscreen, more nourishing sunscreen. It has more of a glowy finish, so something that may not be well liked if you want a more lightweight, non-greasy sunscreen. But the tint is really nice, very similar to the UV Clear or UV Daily. And this one is is 40 minutes water resistant. So this would be a great one if you're seeking a summer sunscreen for the face that is water resistant that you can use, especially if you have dry skin. Now, for a less pricier, similar texture to the EltaMD UV Clear, one brand that I found that is very similar to the tint as well as the whole finish of that sunscreen is from Dermatologist, and it's their Universal Tinted Moisturizer SPF 46. This is $26 for a 50 ml, so a lot more affordable, and it has a really nice finish too. It's also oil-free, 100% purely mineral-based sunscreen with one tint, but again, I find this to be very lightweight, slightly dewy finish, if you will, more so than I think compared to the EltaMD Clear, but again, not very heavy, not sticky. The next tinted sunscreen I really love is from Colorescience, and it's their Sunforgettable Total Protection line. In this line, there are so many different options. They have this new Flex sunscreen that comes in a wide range of shades, as well as glow, bronze, and their regular sunscreen. This retails for $45 for 55 ml, and it's pure mineral-based sunscreen. I love Colorescience for a few reasons, and I've kind of shared this in my previous video. Number one, it's great for those who are sensitive skin, who are looking for a mineral-based sunscreen, and that is also water resistant. So great to use all year round, especially for the summer. Two, I find that this is one of few brands that offer a wide range of tints for your skin type. I find that for the majority of individuals, you are able to find something for really everyone. The finish is just really nice. It's not like a matte finish, but certainly is not very sticky or shiny or too dewy. The last tinted sunscreen I want to recommend is from Epionce, and I have mentioned this in my sunscreen favorites before, and it's their Daily Shield Tinted SPF 50, and I love it for the elegance. It has a really nice, smooth mattifying but yet dewy finish, and it's great to wear alone or great under makeup. And it's one tint, but the tint I find for the most part to be very flattering, at least for my skin tone, and I think certainly if you're darker skinned, if you let it sit, it should blend in really nicely. But it's got a fairly decent coverage as well, where I have been, when I was in Europe, really just wearing this as my sunscreen and my kind of base cover up. And so this is wonderful too, in the sense it's also water resistant up to, I believe, 80 minutes, and it's certainly not cheap. It's about $42 for 50 ml, but this is one that I highly recommend if you're looking for something that's really nice and elegant, that just really feels nice on your skin, that you can wear in the summertime or all year round, that just looks really elegant when you put it on. So the last product I mentioned is from Roche-Posay. It's actually what I mentioned in my previous video that I picked up from Europe, and it's their Anthelios Uvmune 400. And this is unfortunately only available in Europe, but you can purchase it here in the US through online vendors, which I'm happy to link below. But this is a great one because it's got L'Oreal's new filter that protects against long wavelength UVA1, which plays a role in skin aging, fine lines and wrinkles, as well as hyperpigmentation. It's also tinted, so you're getting additional coverage against visible light. It's very lightweight. It's very similar to the Anthelios mineral fluid that you find here, and the tint is actually very comparable to the one that you can find here in the US. I love it because lightweight matte finish, great for the summer. It's also water resistant. I think the only thing, if I had anything bad to say, is that sometimes, depending on the lighting, I find that the tint can be slightly darker on my skin tone, and because I don't really like to wear tinted sunscreen on my neck because I often rub on my clothes, depending on the lighting, that can be a little more readily visible. But the other thing is the scent. I love scented skincare. I have no issues against that, but I find the scent here is a little bit too strong for my liking. But otherwise, I think it's a great sunscreen, and I just wish this was available here in the US. All right, guys, so that is my whole roundup. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I mean, let me know, do you use any of these tinted sunscreens? And if you do you like them? How well do you like them? Or if you have any other sunscreen recommendations, please let me know in the comment box below. I would love it if you could give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Also, let me know any additional content you would like me to film, any other product reviews you would like me to do. Otherwise, I will talk to you guys next time. Bye!